As many of you are surely already aware, the internet in China is very different from that in the United States, Europe, and other parts of the world. The very nature of the internet in China means that big companies you might be used to, like Google, Meta, Amazon, and Twitter, do not exist, and instead in their place stand other giants. In this video, we will be examining some of those giants. Join us today as we look at the 5 companies that define the internet in China. My name is Trevor, and I'll be your guide on the journey today. First of all is the company whose services are nearly synonymous with the internet itself. It's what you use to look up if synonymous is spelled with I's or Y's. It's where you go to ask questions that are just too dumb to ask out loud, but not so dumb that you wouldn't want them in your browsing history. I'm of course talking about search engines. In China, the giant of the illustrious search engine market is Baidu, boasting a whopping 52% share of the search engine market. Now that may sound pretty big, but compared to Google's 87% share of the US market, I have to say I'm a little disappointed. At least the folks at Bing China must be happy. So let's talk a little bit about the background of Baidu. Baidu was founded by Robin Li and Eric Xu in the year 2000. Though it was based off a different search engine called RankDex, also made by Li while he was working at IDD Information Services in New Jersey, which is a division of Dow Jones & Company. RankDex was the first search engine to rank results by what he termed link analysis, or how many other websites link to the website. The more links a website has, the higher up it would appear in the results. While RankDex itself obviously didn't work out, it served as the basis of Baidu's search engine, and bears some similarities to Google's PageRank, which came out later. Larry Page, the founder of Google, even cited some of Li's work in his US patent application for PageRank. Like Google, Baidu was not satisfied just being a search engine. Over the years, Baidu grew and diversified their interests, creating the online encyclopedia service Baidu Baike, which is comparable to Wikipedia, cloud service Baidu Wangpan, which is similar to Google Drive, the video streaming service iQIYI, which also creates a lot of its own shows and movies, and a maps service called Baidu Maps, along with many other enterprises. On the whole, Baidu is just as synonymous with looking things up in China as Google is in the United States. In fact, Google and Baidu even have one more thing in common. You can use them as a verb. The second company we're going to go over has become the leader in both online chat services as well as gaming. I'm of course talking about Tencent. While Tencent is pretty well known among certain circles for their games, we're actually going to start by talking about their online chat services. When Tencent was founded in 1998, it worked primarily on its instant messaging service, OICQ, which went live in 1999. Fearing a lawsuit from AOL, who owned the similarly named service ICQ, Tencent changed their chat service's name to QQ, which has remained ever since. Funny enough, while most instant messengers have gone the way of the dodo in the United States, QQ has remained relatively popular ever since. I reckon it might have something to do with it serving as a gaming platform as well. However, Tencent's biggest success came much later when it launched its social media app, WeChat, in 2011. While the majority of people outside of China may never have heard of QQ, it's possible that even people who know nothing about China might recognize the logo of WeChat, especially if they're living in a big city. That is because WeChat offers a whole host of other services, most notably WeChat Pay, which works a little bit like Apple Pay. In a bid to attract Chinese customers, a number of businesses outside of China have begun accepting WeChat Pay as well. So the next time you're out shopping, why don't you take a look at the cash register and see if they accept WeChat Pay as well. One feature of WeChat Pay I find particularly interesting is the red envelope system. For those who don't know, red envelopes are pouches of money that children receive from older relatives during the Spring Festival, or couples might receive on their wedding day, usually in auspicious amounts. If you want to learn more about these auspicious numbers, click on the eye above and it'll take you to our smash hit video on numbers in China. I do ask that you wait until you finish this video, however. Now back to talking about WeChat red envelopes. WeChat Pay allows you to send virtual red envelopes, including allowing you to send envelopes to a group chat. You can even set them to give out a randomized amount of money to each person who opens one, in case you want to add the zest of gambling to your generosity. Some other notable features of WeChat include a friend circle where you can post photos and text, kind of like Instagram. WeChat also has in-app mobile games, and one of WeChat's more useful features is the ability to log into a wide variety of other web services from Tencent and other companies, making it a little bit like Google in that regard. Now, you may remember that I mentioned earlier that Tencent is also heavily involved in the gaming industry. Depending on what circles you're in, you might have already been aware. But for those who don't know, Tencent is probably most famous for having purchased Riot Games, the creator of League of Legends, in 2011, which, if you don't know, is one of the most widely played video games of all time. As of the recording of this video, League of Legends reached over 130 million active players in the last month, which is still below its peak. In fact, there was a time when I myself poured way too much time into League of Legends. Fortunately for my wallet, as well as my interpersonal relationships, that time is behind us now. In addition to Riot, Tencent owns an 84% stake in Supercell, the Finnish mobile game developer behind Clash of Clans, and a 40% share of Epic Games, the studio behind the ever-popular battle royale game Fortnite. They also own small amounts of other studios such as Ubisoft and Blizzard. That's not to say they don't develop their own games as well. Some of them are spin-off products such as PUBG Mobile and Call of Duty Mobile, but others are popular in their own right. Honor of Kings, a mobile MOBA, try saying that 10 times fast, probably more popularly known as 王者荣耀, is probably their best known game. In fact, it is the most profitable game in the world right now, grossing $1.6 billion of profit in the last year, and over $18 billion since its release in 2015. With almost all of those profits coming from China. So I don't blame you if you haven't heard of it before. I know it may make some quote-unquote traditional gamers a bit uncomfortable that mobile games are so popular and profitable, but it's hard to deny that China in particular loves mobile games. So much so that a number of companies will create mobile games in an attempt to tap into the Chinese market, like the aforementioned Blizzard Games did with their divisive Diablo Immortal mobile game release. It's no wonder then that the majority of Tencent's game releases are for mobile. While I haven't played most of them, I have played Happy Mahjong, which is surprisingly good. Definitely could make someone overspend on microtransactions, however. Couldn't be me. In addition to social media and gaming, Tencent also has their own video streaming service called Tencent Video, which is decently popular in China right now. For our third entry, I figured we'd turn to a company that, while not being particularly diversified in their interests, does still play a major role in the internet in China. I am of course talking about Sina Weibo. Yes, that's Weibo, not Weibo, you Weibo. Weibo just means microblog, and while there are a fair number of microblogging sites that also have Weibo in their names, for the purpose of this video we will be referring to Sina Weibo as just Weibo, as most people would in a casual conversation in China. For those unfamiliar, Weibo is a microblogging site comparable to the website formerly known as Twitter. Founded in 2009, Weibo was created directly following the banning of foreign microblogging sites like Twitter and Facebook. Just an aside, it seems that the majority of the big Chinese tech companies were founded in the late 90s to early 2000s. However, there was a second wave with a few companies being founded in the late aughts following the exclusion of foreign tech companies, as this exclusion created a gap that someone was bound to try to fill. Weibo itself shares a number of features in common with Twitter, including trending topics, short post length, and hashtags, although they use double hashtags like this, since Mandarin does not use spaces. You can even get verified, as a number of foreign celebrities have, although the symbols look a little bit different from the blue check on Twitter. That said, there are still a few major differences. Weibo has a vlog feature where you can post video blogs, and you can even perform text-based interviews, basically AMAs for those familiar with Reddit. They even have super topics, which are a bit different from ordinary trending hashtags. Super topics have a set owner who is in charge and they denote a community. You can think of it a bit like the different subreddits on Reddit. Overall, it seems the general consensus is Weibo is a little bit more interactive than Twitter, which is used mostly just for announcements and stuff like that. But for those of you who use both Weibo and Twitter, what do you think the biggest difference is? That said, while Weibo's influence is big, it is probably the smallest company on this list today. While Sina Weibo is indeed its own company, it is in part owned by our next company on this list, Alibaba. Raise your hands if you've heard that one before. Alibaba is an e-commerce company founded by Jack Ma. Yes, he did star in a kung fu movie, which was directed by Jet Li and featured giants of the genre like Donnie Yen and Wu Jing. But I digress. Ma and 17 friends founded Alibaba in 1999. At first, it was only a business-to-business e-commerce site, but within a few years of operation, Alibaba created a few other sites that are widely used by regular folks like us, namely Taobao in 2003, which is like eBay in that it is a consumer-to-consumer e-commerce site, but unlike eBay, I don't get the feeling of sketchiness when I visit. Although I have to say, now after visiting eBay for the first time in about 10 years, I have to say it's gotten a lot nicer than I remembered it. After Taobao, Alibaba also made Alipay, an online payment platform in 2004. While it has some similarities to PayPal, Venmo, and Zelle, you can do a little bit more with it, including booking car share rides and making appointments. You actually may have already seen the Alipay logo in stores before, as just about any business that takes WeChat Pay will also take Alipay. The last major service that Alibaba created, that I'll mention at least since they have so many, is Tmall, originally called Taobao Mall. Tmall was founded in 2009 and serves as Alibaba's business-to-consumer e-commerce platform. For those counting at home, that means you can use Alibaba for business-to-business e-commerce, Taobao for consumer-to-consumer e-commerce, and Tmall for business-to-consumer e-commerce. All we're waiting for now is for Alibaba's consumer-to-business e-commerce platform to drop. Lastly, I'd like to give an honorable mention to Xiaomi. Now, Xiaomi isn't as interesting to me personally, as they primarily deal with hardware, namely smart TVs or cell phones. And to make that super interesting, I'd probably have to delve into the technical aspects, and I just don't have that background. While they remain absolutely massive overall, they'd actually dropped out of the top 3 cell phone makers in China in the past 3 years, but have recently clawed their way back to the number 3 spot. One fun fact about Xiaomi is they actually have a mascot called Mi Tu. Mi Tu is a combination of the Mi in their name, meaning rice, as well as Tu, meaning rabbit, hence the rabbit. However, nowadays, if you look up Mi Tu in Mandarin, half of the results will be regarding the Me Too movement, as it was adopted as a hashtag by people in China wanting to talk about the movement. Just an interesting development. Did you know of any of these companies before this video? Or are there other big companies that we might have missed? Let us know in the comments below. On that note, I hope you've enjoyed our video on the companies that define the internet in China. If you enjoyed this video, leave it a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and we will see you in the next one. Bye bye!